discovered photos of Trump and Epstein that shed new light on their relationship. Here is one of them. It shows Epstein attending Trump's wedding to Marla Maples in 1993. Now, we should know this is the first time that it has been reported that Trump invited Epstein to the nuptials. CNN also found this photo showing Trump with two of his young children talking to Epstein at the opening of the Harley-Davidson Cafe in New York in October 1993. And then there is the video from 1999 at a Victoria's Secret fashion show in New York. In a statement to CNN, the White House communications director said, quote, "These are nothing more than out-of-context frame grabs of innocuous videos and pictures of widely attended events to disgustingly infer something nefarious. The fact is, the president kicked him out of his club for being a creep." Now, here is Jeffrey Epstein's brother talking to Aaron Burnett tonight.
He's trying to cover his butt. I mean, look, I understand people trying to distance themselves from Jeffrey because of what he was charged with and the circumstances they found himself in. I understand that. You know, but I know that they were good friends, and I witnessed it myself.
Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is former federal prosecutor Temidayo Ngango-Williams. Temidayo, the other thing that occurred today was that a top Justice Department official decided to go to Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, who is in prison for similar crimes, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what he's trying to get, but how unusual is it for that to even happen?
This is just any top official, right? This is the DAG, the Deputy Attorney General, whose day-to-day job is second in command of the Department of Justice, and he really runs the Department of Justice. The Attorney General handles the political components. He handles the day-to-day. He's not typically doing any investigative work. So it's bizarre that he would go down himself to conduct an interview. That's what's done by line assistants, and this is a case that was prosecuted long ago. I expect if there was productive information, credible information that she had, her lawyers would have attempted already to use that to her benefit. The fact that they hadn't suggests to me that there isn't, and this really is a political show as opposed to doing what Department of Justice policy supports.
And let's keep in mind, this is President Trump's former personal lawyer, okay? So this is somebody who worked for the president at a time when the president is trying to distance himself from Jeffrey Epstein, even though it is well documented that they were close friends. And even this idea that he was kicked out of the club because of the charges that were brought against him, there's reporting from the Washington Post years ago that suggests that there was another reason. It was a prime property on Palm Beach Island that pitted the two men against each other, according to the Post, a 6-acre oceanfront estate with a 180-degree view of the Atlantic. 15 years ago, they squared off over that Palm Beach mansion, but it was after that, months later, that local police began investigations into Epstein and whether he was sexually abusing minors. So they're trying to act as if there's not a relationship here when there definitely was. And at the same time, Trump's Deputy Attorney General, former personal lawyer, is going to Ghislaine Maxwell to, I don't know, I mean, is it to find out new information or to get her to side with them in terms of trying to prevent some of these documents from being released?
Well, I think these photos from the pre-internet era have convicted Donald Trump of actually being a socialite in New York City. That's all I can conclude from them. And that Jeffrey Epstein also was a socialite in New York City. And I think most people in the country are going to find that fairly unpersuasive. Ms. Maxwell is going to probably be testifying before the House Oversight Committee. Tim Burchett, a member of Congress from Tennessee, passed on a voice vote subpoena to bring her there. So the Department of Justice going to question her again, I think, is probably not the world's worst idea, since she's going to be on the stand in Congress here pretty soon.
Well, why would they want to question her again when she's already been questioned and convicted?
Well, I think right now you see a lot of people who are in the president's political orbit. I think they're self-appointed influencers more than anything else, are demanding that he release information. He's told Pam Bondi she should release everything she can. So I think this is them doing their due diligence. Todd Blanchett has been in the Justice Department for a very short amount of time. I agree it is normally kind of a thing a line attorney would do, but you can't on one hand say this is a high-profile thing, the president should be doing more. Oh, now he shouldn't have sent his top deputy attorney
why
general.
did he wait till the last minute to do this? I mean, if they really cared about the Epstein files, they could have done this a long time ago. They chose to do it now because Trump is under pressure. And the idea that he's just a socialite in New York City is preposterous. He appears 7 times in the Epstein flight logs. Epstein described Donald Trump as one of his closest friends, and Trump said that Epstein himself was a terrific guy who liked women on the younger side.
Right.
Not to mention the Wall Street Journal report about the naked drawings for his birthday.
Solution. We gotta get Epstein back. Oh, damn, he's still dead. Oh my goodness.
And that's
Such a
offensive.
shame.
That's
Such a
offensive,
shame
Kevin,
that he's
because
still dead. I wish he
because
would come
even
back,
though
but he's
dead,
not coming back.
even
He's
though he's
dead.
dead, Kevin,
Not coming back.
even
He's
though he's
dead.
dead, Kevin,
Just
there
know
are
that.
real
Stop
women and
ignoring it.
girls, real women and girls who suffered
They should not
because of
release
him.
minors'
Kevin,
names. Everything else, put it out.
What's the
But
point? Kevin, can I ask
don't
you?
minimize this by joking about the fact
Yeah,
that he's
joking,
dead.
it's dead.
Yeah, but
It's not a
this is
joke.
Kevin,
He's dead.
hold on a second.
He's dead tomorrow,
Hold on a
too, by
second,
the way.
Keith. Let me try to
That's the
understand.
day after.
So what's the point? What are you
The
trying
point
to
is,
say?
it's irrelevant now. It doesn't matter.
What's
And they
not
should bring
irrelevant?
Epstein
So-
out.
So hold on a second. Hold on a second.
But
What exactly is irrelevant?
tell me how this affects the average American tomorrow morning.
I can tell you.
Help me realize some person struggling to feed their kids, put their child in college. Who gives a
Is it
I'll tell you why.
possible?
I'll
Is
tell
it
you why
possible that
there's
there's
so
Please
much-
help me
that holds
understand.
multiple
Let me-
things
I'm
in their minds
happy
at the
to.
same time?
Thank goodness you're here.
So, look, I think everything that is currently transpired, okay, in regard to Trump's reaction to releasing the Epstein files, the fact that the House of Representatives is going to their 5-week break early just to avoid having
Bring
to
it
vote.
home. It's not important yet. Bring it home.
No,
Tell
no.
me why it's important.
Well, let me finish, okay?
I'm not working with you.
There's a lot of smoke that leads people to believe that there are all sorts of questionable people that might be tied to the government, in the government, and people want to know whether or not there are literally pedophiles who abused women, or girls, I should
Put it
say.
out
So,
there.
so Merrick Garland should have released it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Eric
Yeah.
Garland.
Well, if I could add, just to bring it back to what DOJ normal policy would be. When DOJ conducts an investigation, you don't release those investigative files. It's not open to the public. Why? Because you don't want to name someone who cannot defend themselves in a court of law. That's not provable evidence yet. Here,
Dead guy?
no, it means,
No,
for
the
example,
other-
if you interview someone, there's something called an
Might be
FBI 302. You might interview a witness who says, I saw John Doe do XYZ. If the government releases that information about John Doe can't defend himself in a court of law. That's typical DOJ policy here. But if you want something about a file that's going to be interesting, it's not going to be interviewing someone who's convicted. It's going to be looking about an investigative file, seeing what those agents uncovered in interviews, seeing the evidence that's in that file.
What specifically?
I'm not the one asking for the information either way. All I'm saying is if you want to know what's interesting about this case or any federal investigation, it's going to be more expansive than grand jury transcripts. It's going to be about what this FBI agents
Doing this
conducted.
Well, let me step back for a second. The reason why we
Confused as to why you're confused by this.
yes.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm not
this,
confused at all.
yeah, I mean, you
Please
seem
waste
to
your
be
time.
quite.
Put out all the files.
Because here's the thing. Listen, in the world, people can hold multiple ideas at the same time. One, they can care about their financial well-being, and two, they can also care whether or not there are people who maybe should be prosecuted who participated in a scheme to abuse young girls. Those are both legitimate things to
What that
both.
we determined
Both
we
are
did.
legitimate things to care about,
Don't-
and that's the question at hand. I think there's a separate question, which is, in this moment, should everything be released? I think Temidayo makes a case that there's a good policy that would say probably not. But Donald Trump is the one who wanted them released until he
Thank you.
became president.
There's
That's the problem.
Well, wait a minute though, Abby. If you're going to talk about hypocrisy, House Democrats have gummed up the Rules Committee this week and refused to let anything be considered to be brought to the House floor except this. These are the same Democrats who were wholly uninterested in this case for the last 4 years.
There are plenty
Wholly
of
uninterested. It's
plenty of
complete
Republicans.
hypocrisy.
There are plenty of
Yeah,
Republicans
Let's
who
just
want to
evolve
force.
into another like
Yeah.
partisan
Yeah.
nonsense
Yeah,
story
no,
because
because-
this is
because-
deeper than
and
that.
you're
This is
right.
really deeper than
There-
that.
House
And
Democrats
there's a
won't
lot
let
of
us move to
smoke
immigration.
that
They
makes
won't let
this
us.
issue actually
Why
deeper.
weren't House Democrats in
Let me
the
just finish my point, please, for the love of God. Let's please.
You have
First
your
of all, you have
Hold on,
Alex Acosta, who prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein and gave him a sweetheart deal. He told a reporter, "I was told to back off because Jeffrey Epstein is intelligence." He was asked about that a second time, and he wouldn't deny it. He wouldn't deny that he said that, which is interesting. Okay, why were there cameras in the rooms where these girls were being trafficked? It was to obviously film these powerful elite men, abusing girls and potentially use that as blackmail. So there is a concern that aside from the lack of justice for the victims in this case, there is a concern that maybe there was something deeper here. Maybe there was some institutional corruption that, is part of this whole story. We don't know for sure, and I think Americans who are really fired up about this story want to know if there was like a blackmail operation taking place. What was going on?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Nobody's for Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody's for his abusive girls. Nobody's for human trafficking. Nobody's for the Johns getting away with it. Why didn't it happen in the last 4 years?
I know.
I can tell you why it
Democrats
didn't happen.
Why didn't it happen? Why didn't
Democrats,
it?
Republicans, don't care. Both are bad when it comes to this issue. They should release the details to the American people. I don't care which party.
I can tell you what happened, but part of it is that it's not the conspiracy you think it is. It's that Donald Trump is the one who made this a big issue. Donald Trump was the one who ran on, he was going to release the files. Pam Bondi was the one who said the list was on her desk in February, and now it suddenly doesn't exist. It was the Trump MAGA machine that made this an issue. The Democrats never made it an issue, but now that we see that the Trump has come out there and
Now
refused,
they think it can hurt Trump, then they want to make
now that we see that Trump has refused to produce the evidence that he claimed to produce, it's another example of dishonesty and lack of transparency from this administration.
No, it's not.
No, you know what? And going back to that,
Let me ask, hold on, let me ask Timothy one more thing, Kevin, just a second. Let me ask Timothy one more thing. The Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, after they reached out to her, said that they confirmed the discussion, but he also said, "We're grateful to President Trump for his commitment to uncovering the truth in this case." I'm just curious, what is your reaction to a statement like that coming from somebody who is in prison already, charged, convicted, all of that for this crime? I mean, he must think, it seems like, that there's something positive coming out of this at the end for his client.
The words that come to mind are quid pro quo. I think it's tough to look at the situation and think you're likely to get credible information from someone who's currently serving a 20-year sentence, information that she did not provide to lying federal prosecutors who were actually prosecuting her under the Biden administration. So I think what I would suspect is that there's suggestion there that the one person standing between her and perhaps freedom is President Trump, and that must bring into question anything that comes out of these interviews, especially when conducted by the president's hand-picked former lawyer, who now, instead of doing his day job running the Department of Justice, is interviewing someone who's already been prosecuted and has every incentive to put forward information that lacks credibility.
All right, to be continued. Let's hit pause on this conversation because Barack